Anyways, thank you for checking out my channel. What's up? Today, we're gonna just blow right past the fact that it's been like 5 months since I've uploaded a video. I've had a lot of videos recorded, and then my computer crapped out, and then I had to get another one, but it took like 2 months to get it, and a lot of shenanigans happened. I'm also just a perfectionist, and if I don't like one aspect of something, I just trash it. And not even like with how I look or anything. It's more of like, oh, I could have said that more eloquently. You know how it is. It's a thing. We're working on it. But today I wanted to talk about review bombing. This is a topic that if anybody has followed me for my career, right now I'm moved over to dev side. I work over at Bungie as a community manager. But before that, I was in this industry for 20 years, working as a gaming journalist. But I've also done other things. I've worked in HR in gaming. I've worked in PR in gaming, events planning, talent management. I've done a lot because I wanted to learn as much about this space as I could because I knew gaming was going to be my home. And dev side's been a fun trip. It has. But if you have followed my career, you'll know that I've talked numerous times. I've written many articles, many threads, many deep dives about what review bombing even is. And you know what? I don't like to shy away from things. I treat my social media with respect. If you follow me, I will trust you to be an adult and have adult conversations. That trust was a little bit abused recently when I wrote about review bombing. And one thing that was clear is a lot of folks don't even know what review bombing is, or there's differing opinions about review bombing. So I just want to talk about what review bombing even is and kind of clarify some of those points. I'm not going to talk about the Destiny thread because it wasn't about Destiny, so there's no reason to talk about that. I'm not responsible for other people wanting to willfully argue. A lot of folks were really cool, though. I understood some of the wording might have been a little bit confusing, and I did my best to clarify where I could. And a lot of folks were really appreciative, like, oh, now I see what you're talking about. Got it. But other folks, wanted to be, folks, and that's fine too. You can't control what people do, so why let it affect you? That's kind of, maybe I'm terminally chill in that area, but that doesn't really bother me because I'm not responsible for you. So, especially on a personal account. So I don't want to talk about that because there's no reason to. There was a lot of good conversation that came out of it. I appreciated it, but I'm just gonna let that lie. But I wanted to kind of clarify what review bombing is, kind of what it's been in the past and what it is now, and kind of how it's spiraled into different meanings for different people. And you can definitely see those different meanings in the different microcosms of gaming. You've got the industry side media, you've got the industry side dev side, you've got the consumer side with players, you've got the consumer/marketing side with content creators. Like, you have all these different facets, and all of them have a very different lens on the overall picture. So when I'm talking about review bombing, this is specifically talking about Steam. When I'm talking about it in relation to games, I'm specifically talking about Steam and Metacritic. But movies and TV also have the same issue with Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic. There's just some processes out there that are not properly regulated, and people have wanted change to Steam's system for years, and they've made changes. Valve has made changes with time, but there's still a long way to go. But what review bombing is, particularly what I was referencing, is Steam. So with Steam, you have mostly positive, overwhelmingly positive, mixed, negative, you've got those skews. So it's not a review in the sense that you would think of like a numerical value, but what it is it's seen as a review to new players. I know I've turned away from games if I saw like overwhelmingly negative, and I would go through the reviews first to make sure it wasn't review bombing, because it happens a lot. This happens like every couple months. I feel like every couple of months I used to be covering stories about review bombing, but it is specifically addressing the one sentence comments that are specifically meant just to cause chaos or to spread a negative sentiment that is rooted in harm. And what I mean by that is there's a difference between saying, I didn't like the game, it felt rushed. Was the team lazy? Did resources get cut? And, whatever. Or, I don't like the weapons. I feel like they don't feel connected to what we like. Or with indie games, I don't like the way the character was written, is a big one. That's valid. That's not what I'm talking about when I'm saying review bombing. You can even say your game sucks ass, and I'm not going to call that review bombing either. When I'm talking about review bombing, comments that are meant to be harmful for a specific viewpoint. Last of Us got review bombed when the TV show had the episode that focused on a gay couple, and that week randomly out of the blue, and you could try to, correlate it as it's a coincidence, but that's not a coincidence. Why would you randomly start reviewing a game that's been out for over a year and it just happens to be the week that the episode airs? It's weird. But people will say, like, some of the comments were like, fucking get this woke ass bullshit out of here, fuck you, and then putting like a downvote. And while one does not matter, like one individual review does not matter, what happens is these are usually in sections of gamers that want to combine their efforts, and it attracts like-minded folks. So when a review bomb happens, if it gets visualization or if it gets any type of visibility, whether it be press or just other players, it's going to attract other people to do the same. So what happens when you suddenly have thousands of people all giving down votes but not saying anything constructive? I think an important part of the conversation of what's a review bomb versus a negative review is literally in the name. A review is constructive feedback. As a game reviewer, I was never allowed to be like, the game sucks, or that game was dope. Like, I had to give thoughtful analysis on why did I not like something? How did it fit into the overall picture? How did it feel in the moment? Why did I like something? You have to have a reason for everything, because the point is to provide a constructive picture of what an experience felt like. Review bomb does not have that. And some people that do review bombs, which I've noticed a lot, will justify out of their ass that calling somebody a slur is justified. It's not justified. I don't care how much you hate a game. It is never justified to review or review bomb a game or a movie or a TV show. Never. You can give a thoughtful negative feedback or critical feedback, absolutely. But a review bomb in itself is not a review. It is literally designed with the intent to harm the public perception of a property. The intent there is to harm. And a lot of folks have asked me, like, well, how do you know what's different between a review bomb and a review? By looking. A one sentence thing with a slur or a threat is not a review. That doesn't help. This is also why just at work we'll be like, we want feedback, but tell us why. It's also why, a lot of companies and a lot of studios still have forums, because they want a longer form for players to be able to provide feedback that they want and conclude a lot of information that they want to include. Reddit's also a great source for this. But unfortunately, we are in a very big reactive environment. We all have social media at the tip of our fingertips. I can look up anything in 2 seconds flat. I have the world at my fingertips. Unfortunately, this also promoted a culture that's centered around instant gratification. If I can't get it now, that means I'm not gonna get it, and I'm angry. And rarely is that the case. We see this a lot with other games as well. Destiny is not the first game I've worked on. As a marketing agency, we worked on Overwatch, we worked on Walking Dead Saints Sinners, we've worked on a lot of different titles, and it is very interesting to me to see the disparity between community interactions and how quickly it can pivot if something is just not liked for any given reason. A big motivator behind review bombing, not negative reviews. Review bombing, do not twist these words, Reddit. I love you, but y'all need to chill and drink some water. A negative review is not a review bomb. But when people review bomb, there are a couple of topics that tend to be the driving motivator. Anti-alphabet mafia. That's a huge one. That is a very common one, especially with indies. Racism. Even if there's like one black character or one person of color character in a game, sometimes people freak out. Do I need to remind you about Battlefield when they dared to show a woman and they were like, my realism, but then they have no problem with the dude like shooting an Uzi out of his arm? Like, you know what I mean? There's too much of a disparity between when these rules apply versus when they don't, if that makes sense. And if we're not going to keep a universal code of conduct, I guess, in terms of how we see any type of inclusion efforts or anything like that, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of at a loss of words for that, because I genuinely don't understand it. I don't understand wanting to go out and hurt something just because you don't like it. And maybe it's an age thing. I'm 35. I grew up on NES and SNES. I even still have my old Commodore 64. Don't judge me, okay? Don't judge me. Don't judge me. Back in my day with my cane, we didn't even know when games were releasing sometimes. Sometimes it would just be there and like, oh shit. And if you didn't like it, you could talk about it in a forum, sure. But nobody cared as much. Like, it was like pump and dump. I know that's not how that's said, but whatever, we're gonna roll with it. It's been a long day. Just drop the feedback and then leave. That's it. Now we're in this world that revolves around engagement, numbers, KPI, follower count, Twitch subscriber counts, like all of these factors that really heavily rely on engagement. And the easiest and quickest way to get engagement is to post really spicy takes. That's just what it is. Our algorithms are training entire communities to be negative. There's a reason why things like backlash and canceled are very strong keywords and often used in headlines, because it's the quickest way to ensure something's going to skyrocket to the top of the leaderboards of algorithms. And while that sucks in itself, because that's just mindlessly spreading negativity for the sake of engagement, it's also very harmful because we are training, literally training through algorithmic data, the next generation of content creators to think in an overly reactive and negative way because they get a reward for doing that. And so review bombing gives this sense of control. I don't like what you did, so I'm gonna make you pay. And we've seen review bombers talk about this. They love to brag about it. They're proud of it. It's a badge of honor. But why? Like, as people, you know, it is our job to lead with our kindest foot forward. It is our responsibility to make sure that we are not, as individuals, it is our responsibility to ensure, oh my God, I fidget so much, I'm sorry, to ensure that we are not doing harm. We are doing good. We are being authentic with ourselves. We are thoughtful in our interactions, intentional in our interactions. And one thing I've been practicing a lot the last year is speaking with intent, not speaking just to fill the silence. And I'm working on it because I'm a rambler, but speaking with intention and acting with intention. And because that's my responsibility. That's my responsibility with the people around me, and also responsibility for myself and feeling comfortable in who I am in my place. And I think that there's a very big disconnection because a lot of folks were like, well, why are you shitting on Derrda's review? It's like, I didn't. That's not a review bomb. That's an actual review. While I don't necessarily agree with some of the points said, my agreement is not required. My job is to take that feedback back to the teams. That's it. I don't need to agree or disagree. I don't care. I take it, and I have the capacity and patience to take it and not take it personally, which is great. And then we take it back to the teams. That's it. That's it. We will never turn away feedback or anything because we don't like it. That's not a thing. That doesn't happen. But I've seen other studios also get accused of that as well. And that's an interesting conversation that's for another day. The amount of people that kept conflating an actual review with a review bomb was alarming. And that's really getting down to it. That's why I wanted to do this video. What is a review bomb? And if you Google review bombing in games, you'll see tons of articles. Last of Us, Warframe's gotten review bombed, indie games have gotten review bombed, Battlefield got review bombed, Dynasty got review bombed, and there's other reasons why people review bomb as well. It's not always targeted harassment against a marginalized group of people. Sometimes it's the game was buggy, and we want to make sure you know that. And sometimes it's not proportionate. Sometimes it's really hard to get all that feedback. And I think another thing people don't realize is that if game studios took in every piece of feedback and applied it to their games, from every player without distinction, which is what people want us to do, the game would be a clusterfuck. Not only idea-wise, just a convolution of ideas, but also some things aren't doable on certain engines. They're just not. And sometimes what somebody thinks is a very easy, like, just do it, you can flip the switch, is actually something that requires weeks and weeks and weeks of data and repro action. Or they went to go implement it, the feedback, and then they realized, well, if we do this, it completely negatively impacts this. Because game dev is hard. Live service is really hard. It takes a very special kind of dev to be able to work on live service long term. It is very demanding, and that's not something that studios shy away from talking about. And so that knowledge is out there. It's not like players don't know, but it's something that is often overlooked when it's convenient. And when I say players, I don't mean all players by any stretch. And this is a very vocal minority too. I think that's really important to flag, is that I'm not talking about all gamers, because, like, honestly, the gaming community is fucking awesome. Like, I love the shit posts. I love the memes. I love how we all band together for a good cause. Like, how many charities have gaming studios, like, were able to raise some really good money? As a veteran, I love, like, Call of Duty's endowment program for veterans. And I think there's just a lot of really cool things that the community does. And I don't want gamers to be under this negative umbrella, because I understand why people do it. And I'm not going to tell anybody to not, if that's how they really feel. But for me personally, I don't want to give a vocal minority that level of power. I feel like we're giving them too much credit, giving them too much power, which is then incentivizing them to act out even more. And they're getting the attention they're craving, ergo teaching them that you want this, then you do this. So they're going to just keep doing it. But yeah, so that's kind of basically the gist of it. It's not really that complicated. It's literally a review bomb is typically 1 to 2 sentences, not always, but typically. And it's usually, and it is with, not usually, it is with the intent to harm. Now, there are negative reviews that are short, like a paragraph. That doesn't make it a short review doesn't make it a review bomb. It's the intent that makes it a review bomb. And review bombs are typically talked about with Reddit and Steam conversations. It's not talking about press or anything like that. The press have their own guidelines for reviews. Paid reviews are not a thing. I know I've talked about that before on this channel many times, but there is an entire editorial process that goes into reviews. So to review bomb on the media side isn't really possible unless just all media sites banded together one day and we're like, we're gonna fuck shit up. You know? Does that make sense? I don't know. It's been a week. It's been a week. It's been a week. So I just wanted to clarify that of not clarifying anything I've said. I said what I said. It's done. Moving on. We're not going to remember that a week from now. There's so many more important things going on. But I did want to clarify what the original intent of that is. Now, over the years, it has kind of evolved a little bit in meaning. And there's some like, what is review bombing articles out there that loop in reviews into that, and that I don't agree with necessarily, but my agreement isn't required. It's just I prefer the original iteration because the original iteration is more accessible to everybody to access and to implement, and it's also the quickest way people can do harm to a property, and it's the most common way people do harm to a property. Sure, you see it on YouTube as well, absolutely, but at least with YouTube bombing, there's some thought put into it. Does that make them right? No, but I always appreciate thought. I will always, I'm a military and a former gaming journalist. There is nothing you could say that could hurt my feelings. And I want to hear the negative feedback because I want things that challenge my own perception. If I like something, I want to hear you why you like it. I want to hear you talk about the reasons why you did. If I love something and you viscerally hate it, I want to hear that perspective. I've actually loved games that I previously hated because I was listening to other people's perspectives. Now, I don't know what that is. Stop. Okay, Leanna, get back. Focus. But that is an entirely separate conversation. That is, again, not review bombing. So typically when a review bomb is a part of a conversation that doesn't say that negates all negative reviews, it's not even talking about negative reviews. It's specifically talking about those short, sweet excerpts that some small amount of players love to do that is solely to harm the public perception and the success of a game. And why I'm so strongly passionate about it is, one, I just love games. I fucking love games, and I love developers. The more and more I learn about working on games dev side, the more I'm genuinely shocked that games even exist in this day and age, because technology is fucking tricky and it changes all the time on a dime. It's magical. But I just want to kind of bridge that understanding. This is why I like Twitter. Despite trolls and all of that, I can block that out. I like Twitter because it gives me access to people I wouldn't normally have access to, and gives me perspectives that I wouldn't normally have access to. And I want to give some of that back. So I am very open on my Twitter about like behind the scenes stuff because, one, I have the knowledge to do so. I wouldn't just say it all willy-nilly. Like, I definitely have a lot of things I would like to talk about, but I'm like, better not, because I don't really know about it. Or I don't feel comfortable in my level of knowledge. I don't want to ever speak from a place of arrogance or ignorance or purported knowledge, because that does a lot of harm in my opinion. But I do like to share things that maybe some people would say you probably shouldn't post, but it's never inappropriate. It's just honest. And I think that a lot of people on Twitter do that, and I think that's really special, and I think that that can override a lot of the noise. But the noise is always going to be there, especially as algorithms continue to push that kind of behavior. That's why we always tell people, if you see a shitty take, don't comment, don't retweet with a sassy take. All you're doing is giving them exactly what they want. I cannot stand when people do that. Sometimes it's okay if you're trying to boost awareness, if it's like a safety issue, to be like, watch out for this person. But it's just, you know, just don't. Just move on with your life. You know? Focus on what matters. What's going to bring you joy in the long term? That's what you should be focusing on. I'm just saying. But TLDR, games are fucking cool. And I appreciate you being here on this rant because this was fun. I don't know if this is going to get me a lot of backlash. Possibly. I tend to put my foot in my mouth a lot. It's what I do. That's what I live for. But I hope not. I hope you're taking this video as what it's meant to be. It's just honest conversation and a different perspective. And yeah, I guess we'll see what these comments look like. But definitely appreciate you tuning in. Sorry that I haven't been posting a lot. Not that you need my post or anything. There's so many amazing content creators out there, and I am not a content creator. But I do want to do more videos again when I have more time. I'm running a lot of projects, doing a lot of stuff with accessibility at work, and working with other studios as well for accessibility initiatives, and doing a mentorship program that I've been working on for years, and that takes a lot of time and energy. So it's just a matter of getting space. But yeah, we're good. I think actually this is the first video I've done in our house. We bought a house in Seattle, well, near Seattle, but we bought a house. Yeah. We actually have like backdrops now. It feels good to have an office again. But yeah, some cool shit is in the works. Love my job, love the community, love everything. Would love a little more chill, but that's okay. But yeah, I appreciate you guys very much for hanging with me, chilling with me. If there's anything you want to see, I'm not, obviously can't cover Destiny on this channel because that is my work. And as we see with TWABs all the time, a lot of things can be misunderstood very easily. And I don't want to accidentally say something that could potentially put my coworkers at risk because I put my foot in my mouth. But any other topics, gaming in general, anything, I love it. And that's my shtick, man. That's what I know. So if you let me know. If not, I could use some inspiration. If not, that's totally cool too. What am I forgetting? Oh yeah, you're supposed to do like the YouTuber thing, like drop a like and subscribe, and I think there's a bell that you can ding and ding ding for something. I don't know what. I think you actually have to post though for that to matter. Self call out. What up? Anyways, I'm doing the Midwestern goodbye by saying goodbye for 50 fucking hours. So thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it, and I will catch you guys next time. Bye.